Welcome back to Globewise Entertainment, your ultimate destination for hidden Hollywood gems, epic movie countdowns, and forgotten classics. Today, we're diving into the 15 greatest 80s sci-fi movies you forgot existed, films that defined a generation, inspired dreamers, and took us on unforgettable intergalactic adventures. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button now and join the Globewise Entertainment family. And don't forget to tell us in the comments which 80s sci-fi movie is your all-time favorite. We love hearing from fellow movie fans. Get ready to blast off into nostalgia. Let's go! 1. Life Force, 1985. The forgotten space vampire epic that tried everything. Back in 1985, audiences had no idea what was coming when Life Force hit theaters. It wasn't just another sci-fi flick. It was a wild, ambitious, genre-bending explosion of cosmic terror, supernatural mystery, and cutting-edge effects that pushed the limits of what 80s cinema dared to show. The movie begins with a British-American space mission stumbling across a mysterious, abandoned alien ship hidden inside Halley's Comet. The crew boards it expecting scientific wonder, but instead, they discover 3 perfectly preserved humanoid beings stored in glass-like containers. It feels peaceful. Too peaceful. And that's where the nightmare quietly begins. The humanoids are brought back to Earth for study, but within hours, everything spirals out of control. The lead alien, silent, powerful, hypnotically beautiful, awakens first. With just a touch, she drains the life energy out of anyone who crosses her path. Victims shrivel into horrifying husks. London collapses into panic. And humanity faces something far worse than a simple alien invasion. This is a takeover powered by our own life force. Colonel Tom Carlson, the only surviving astronaut from the mission, returns to Earth with a secret connection to the alien woman. Their psychic link becomes both a curse and a clue, as he tries desperately to stop her before she transforms the entire human race into an army of energy-hungry creatures. The result is a chaotic, apocalyptic showdown that blends sci-fi spectacle with classic vampire mythology in a way no other 80s movie dared to attempt. Although Life Force wasn't a box office hit, it has since earned cult classic status thanks to its bold practical effects, massive ambition, and unforgettable visuals. It's the kind of sci-fi feast from the 80s that many fans completely forgot, yet once you rewatch it, you never forget it again. Because only in the 80s could a movie mix space exploration, apocalyptic horror, psychic battles, and vampiric aliens, and somehow still leave you wanting more. 2. The Hidden, 1987. The sci-fi thriller that moved faster than the 80s itself. Imagine waking up in 1987 Los Angeles, a city already buzzing with neon nightlife, fast cars, and louder music, only to learn that something far stranger is hiding beneath the surface. That's the world of The Hidden, a criminally forgotten sci-fi action gem that blends body-snatching aliens, cop thriller energy, and wild 80s chaos in a way no other film dared to try. The story begins with a series of crimes so bizarre, so violent, and so random that even hardened detectives can't explain them. One moment a quiet, mild-mannered banker is waiting calmly in line. The next moment he's speeding down the streets, blasting music, driving like he stole the car. Because he did. But here's the twist. These criminals aren't criminals at all. They're innocent people being used like puppets. Because an alien parasite is jumping from one human body to another, leaving a trail of destruction everywhere it goes. Enter Kyle MacLachlan, playing an FBI agent who is way too calm, way too polite, and hiding secrets of his own. Forced to team up with a skeptical LAPD detective, the duo chase this alien menace through clubs, car dealerships, malls, and back alleys, creating one of the most fast-paced sci-fi thrill rides of the decade. What makes The Hidden so unforgettable isn't just the action, though it is spectacularly over the top, but the strange heart beating underneath it. Every time the alien takes over a new host, you see glimpses of the people whose lives it destroys, giving the story unexpected emotional weight. And the big reveal about MacLachlan's character? Let's just say, he's not on Earth by accident. The Hidden is the perfect mix of 80s action, sci-fi suspense, and practical effects that still look surprisingly good today. Yet despite all this, it vanished from the mainstream conversation, overshadowed by bigger films of its era. But for true sci-fi fans, it remains one of the decade's most original and adrenaline-pumping hidden treasures. If you love body horror, high-energy car chases, alien fights, and unexpected emotional moments, this is your reminder. Go watch The Hidden before it slips out of sight again. 3. Enemy Mine, 1985. The sci-fi war story that turned into a heart-changing friendship. Next on our list is one of the most unexpectedly emotional sci-fi films of the entire decade, Enemy Mine, released in 1985. While many 80s sci-fi movies focused on lasers, monsters, and big explosions, this hidden gem chose something far more powerful: humanity. The story takes us to a distant, war-torn future where humans are locked in an endless battle with an alien species known as the Drax. And right from the start, the film flips every expectation upside down. During a deadly space dogfight, a human pilot named Willis Davidge, played by Dennis Quaid, crash lands on a desolate, hostile planet. But he isn't alone. His enemy, a Drac fighter named Jeriba, or Jerry, portrayed brilliantly under makeup by Louis Gossett Jr., also survives. Both are stranded. Both are injured. And both must decide whether to stay enemies or stay alive. What begins as a tense rivalry slowly transforms into one of the most touching cross-species friendships ever put on screen. Their survival depends on cooperation, but what keeps us watching is how the film explores empathy, culture, and trust in a way very few sci-fi movies dared to attempt at the time. Jerry teaches Davidge the Drac language, their culture, and even their spiritual beliefs. Davidge, in return, learns that the enemy he'd been taught to hate is more honorable and compassionate than many humans he's ever known. But the story takes an emotional turn when Jerry gives birth. Yes, Dracs reproduce differently, and entrusts Davidge with raising his child. Suddenly, the stranded pilot isn't just surviving, he's protecting a legacy. Enemy Mine became a symbol of hope during the Cold War era, urging audiences to look past borders, prejudice, and propaganda. It showed that sometimes, the person you fear the most might be the one who saves your life. And even though the film struggled at the box office, it found new life on home video and late-night TV, becoming a beloved cult classic for sci-fi fans around the world. Today, it stands as a reminder that great science fiction isn't just about spaceships, it's about the choices we make, the enemies we create, and the friendships we never expect. A forgotten 80s masterpiece, and absolutely worthy of its place on this list. 4. Outland, 1981. The space western you never saw coming. Imagine high noon, but instead of dusty streets and saloons, you're standing on a mining colony on Jupiter's moon, Io. That's the world of Outland, 1981, a film most people barely remember, yet it delivered one of the boldest, grittiest sci-fi thrillers of the early 80s. Sean Connery stars as Marshal William O'Neill, a tough but principled lawman assigned to keep order in one of the most dangerous places in the solar system. The colony is basically a pressure cooker of greed, corruption, and brutal working conditions. And when miners begin dying in bizarre, gruesome accidents, O'Neill realizes he's stumbled into something much darker than a safety violation. Outland slowly transforms from a routine space crime investigation into a tense showdown as O'Neill uncovers a deadly drug smuggling operation run by the very officials he's supposed to protect. The stakes skyrocket when he learns that hired killers are already on the way, and he's completely alone. What makes this movie special isn't just the mystery, it's the atmosphere. Director Peter Hyams creates a world that feels dirty, industrial, and frighteningly real. You can almost smell the metal corridors, hear the hissing airlocks, and feel the isolation of a colony hanging on the edge of deep space. The film also pushed boundaries with some of the most realistic portrayals of zero-gravity violence at the time. Combine that with Connery's grounded performance, and you've got a sci-fi western that deserves way more respect than it ever got. Today, Outland stands as a forgotten gem, a tough, moody, slow-burn thriller that blends space exploration with old-school justice. If you missed it back in the 80s, or if it slipped through the cracks of modern sci-fi fandom, this is the perfect film to rediscover. 5. Starman, 1984. A love story written in the stars. In the middle of the 1980s, when sci-fi films were obsessed with laser battles and intergalactic wars, Starman, 1984, arrived with something completely different, a quiet, emotional, almost spiritual journey that blended wonder, mystery, and pure human connection. The story begins when a mysterious alien crash lands on Earth and takes on the form of a woman's deceased husband. This alien, played with gentle brilliance by Jeff Bridges, doesn't come to conquer or destroy. He comes simply to learn and to survive. But what makes Starman unforgettable isn't the sci-fi concept, it's the heart behind it. As the alien Starman and Jenny, the grieving widow, travel across America, their journey becomes something far more profound than a chase story. It becomes a story about healing, trust, rediscovering hope, and realizing that love can exist even between beings from completely different worlds. Every moment feels intimate and human. Every scene carries warmth, humor, and wonder. And every challenge pulls the viewer deeper into their unlikely connection. Jeff Bridges' performance was so powerful, he earned an Academy Award nomination for a role that barely involved shouting or action, just quiet emotion, innocence, and discovery. Yet despite all this, Starman slowly slipped from the mainstream spotlight. It didn't have the explosive action of Terminator or the big-budget effects of Ghostbusters. But what it did have was soul, the kind of sci-fi storytelling that reminds us of our own humanity. Today, Starman stands as one of the most beautiful and heartfelt sci-fi romances of the 1980s, a film many viewers have forgotten, but one absolutely worth remembering. Because in a decade dominated by machines, monsters, and futuristic chaos, Starman dared to say that the most powerful force in the universe is love. 6. The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, 1984. Imagine a movie where rock stars, scientists, and interdimensional heroes collide, and somehow it works. That's Buckaroo Banzai. This cult 80s sci-fi gem is a wild, colorful ride that feels like it was ripped straight out of someone's fever dream, in the best possible way. Peter Weller, who later became RoboCop, plays Buckaroo Banzai, a brilliant neurosurgeon, physicist, and rock musician all rolled into one. But that's just the beginning. Buckaroo and his eclectic team, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, are tasked with stopping an alien invasion from the eighth dimension led by the evil Dr. Emilio Lizardo. The film blends science, comedy, action, and music in a way that no other movie dares to try. Despite its initial box office failure, Buckaroo Banzai has earned a devoted following for its bizarre charm, witty dialogue, and impossibly imaginative concept. From exploding heads to interdimensional travel, it's a movie that truly lives up to the 80s sci-fi motto. If you can dream it, you can see it on screen. Why you should watch. It's a mind-bending adventure that refuses to take itself seriously. The quirky cast of characters keeps you laughing and guessing that it's a piece of sci-fi history that influenced future cult classics. If you're a fan of movies that are wildly inventive, unapologetically weird, and endlessly quotable, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai is the forgotten 80s sci-fi masterpiece you need to rediscover. 7. Altered States, 1980. Imagine a world where the boundaries of the human mind and body could be pushed beyond anything science has dared to explore. That's the premise of Altered States, a mind-bending 1980 sci-fi thriller that blends science, psychology, and hallucinatory horror in a way that still feels revolutionary today. Directed by Ken Russell and starring William Hurt in one of his earliest breakout roles, the film follows Dr. Edward Jessup, a brilliant but obsessed scientist. Determined to uncover the roots of human consciousness, Jessup experiments with sensory deprivation tanks and powerful hallucinogenic drugs, taking his mind and his body on a terrifying journey into regression. The results? Unimaginable transformations, both physically and psychologically, that challenge the very definition of humanity. What makes Altered States stand out among 80s sci-fi is its daring combination of high-concept science fiction with raw, intense body horror. The visuals are trippy, the ideas are profound, and the suspense keeps you on the edge of your seat. It's a cerebral thrill ride that explores fear, identity, and the human obsession with evolution. Even decades later, it remains a cult classic for sci-fi enthusiasts craving films that go beyond lasers and spaceships. For anyone looking to dive into the hidden gems of 80s science fiction, Altered States is a mind-altering experience you can't afford to miss. Fun fact: the movie inspired debates in scientific and philosophical circles about consciousness and human evolution, perfect for engaging cliques from curious minds. 8. Brainstorm, 1983. Imagine plugging directly into someone else's mind. Not just their thoughts, but their emotions, sensations, and memories. That's the chilling yet mesmerizing premise of Brainstorm, directed by Douglas Trumbull, the visual effects genius behind 2001, A Space Odyssey and Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In this underappreciated sci-fi gem, a team of scientists develops a revolutionary device capable of recording and experiencing human consciousness. At first, it's a miracle, a breakthrough for medicine, psychology, and even empathy. But things quickly spiral out of control. When one of the inventors dies unexpectedly, the team faces the terrifying ethical and emotional consequences of accessing someone else's mind. The line between reality and perception blurs in a way that feels hauntingly ahead of its time. The film is famous for its groundbreaking special effects that still hold up decades later, immersing audiences in psychedelic, mind-bending sequences that visualize human thought and experience. Plus, it features a tragic historical note. The movie's star, Natalie Wood, passed away during production, adding a layer of real-world poignancy to this already intense story. Brainstorm is more than just an overlooked 80s sci-fi movie, it's a visionary exploration of technology, human connection, and the moral dilemmas that come with playing God. For fans of cerebral science fiction, this is one forgotten classic that deserves a second look. 9. Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone, 1983. Step into a post-apocalyptic world where danger lurks behind every corner, and only the bold survive. Space Hunter, Adventures in the Forbidden Zone is the kind of 1980s sci-fi that delivers pure, adrenaline-fueled escapism. Starring Peter Strauss as the fearless mercenary Wolf, this film is a thrilling mix of action, adventure, and over-the-top cosmic peril. Wolf is hired to rescue 3 women kidnapped by the sinister Overdog, ruler of the lawless wasteland known as the Forbidden Zone. Along the way, he encounters a host of bizarre characters, from ruthless mutants to a quirky robot sidekick named Nikki, and faces treacherous terrain that seems pulled straight from a Mad Max fever dream. What makes Space Hunter unforgettable is its visual spectacle. The film's vibrant set designs, imaginative costumes, and practical effects transport you to a world that feels both alien and dangerously alive. Combine that with a synth-heavy soundtrack, and you've got a quintessential 80s sci-fi vibe that's equal parts campy and captivating. Despite being overshadowed by bigger sci-fi hits like Star Wars and Blade Runner, Space Hunter has earned a cult following over the years. It's a film that's perfect for fans of action-packed adventures, pulpy sci-fi, and retro 80s charm. If you haven't seen it yet, strap in for a ride through the most chaotic and colorful corners of the galaxy. Fun fact for viewers: the film was originally conceived as a space opera for younger audiences, but its intense action sequences and bold world-building quickly won over adult sci-fi fans too. 10. Transfers, 1984. Mind-bending telepathy in a Cold War era. Imagine a world where your thoughts aren't your own. Transfers plunges us into the eerie corridors of a near-future dystopia where scientists have discovered a way to transfer human consciousness from one body to another. It's 1984, and the Cold War paranoia is at its peak, making the stakes feel terrifyingly real. The story follows Dr. Richard Fallon, a brilliant but morally conflicted scientist, who becomes embroiled in a government experiment that can swap minds between volunteers. At first, the transfers seem harmless, even revolutionary, but soon, the lines between identity, morality, and control blur. Who truly owns a body once a mind has been transferred? And how far will those in power go to exploit this technology? What makes transfers unforgettable, and why it slipped under the radar, is its chilling exploration of ethical dilemmas mixed with suspenseful sci-fi thrills. The film's visual style, packed with shadowy labs, neon-lit experiments, and a synth-heavy soundtrack, perfectly captures the 80s sci-fi vibe while leaving you questioning the very nature of humanity. For fans of cerebral sci-fi like Altered States or Scanners, Transfers is a hidden gem that's both thought-provoking and pulse-pounding. It's a perfect pick if you want a movie that feels both retro and eerily relevant today, especially with modern debates about consciousness and AI. Why you should watch it now. Rare 80s sci-fi with a gripping, cerebral premise, dark, stylish visuals that scream 1980s cult classica moral thriller about identity, control, and human nature. If you're ready to dive into a sci-fi story that will haunt your mind long after the credits roll, Transfers is waiting to shock and captivate you. 11. The Abyss, 1989. A deep dive into the unknown. When James Cameron isn't sending audiences to space or creating unforgettable cyborgs, he plunges us into the depths of the ocean, and The Abyss is his breathtaking proof. Released in 1989, this sci-fi thriller takes viewers on a tense underwater adventure that blends heart-stopping suspense with awe-inspiring special effects that were way ahead of their time. The story follows a team of deep-sea oil rig workers who are called to rescue a lost nuclear submarine. But as they descend into the ocean's darkest reaches, they encounter mysterious alien life forms capable of feats humans can barely comprehend. The film's mix of sci-fi wonder, human drama, and real underwater peril makes it a thrilling ride from start to finish. What makes The Abyss unforgettable isn't just its story, it's the pioneering visual effects. Remember the iconic water tentacle sequence? That groundbreaking CGI moment would go on to inspire visual effects in countless films that followed, cementing Cameron's reputation as a master of cinematic spectacle. With its pulse-pounding tension, touching human moments, and a truly mind-bending climax, The Abyss is a hidden gem of the 80s that proves the ocean is as alien as any distant planet. Fun fact: Cameron trained the cast in scuba diving for months to make the underwater scenes as realistic as possible. Talk about dedication. 12. The Quiet Earth, 1985. Imagine waking up one morning to find that everyone around you has vanished. No neighbors, no coworkers, not a single soul in sight. That's exactly the chilling scenario that grips scientist Zach Hobson in The Quiet Earth, a hauntingly original New Zealand sci-fi that has remained a hidden gem of the 1980s. Zach, working on a mysterious project to alter energy on Earth, awakens to discover an eerie, post-apocalyptic silence. As he explores empty cities, he begins to confront not only the terrifying reality of his isolation but also the profound question: is humanity's survival even possible when you're the last person left? The film brilliantly balances psychological tension with philosophical depth, making it more than just a sci-fi spectacle. It's a meditation on loneliness, responsibility, and the fragility of civilization. What makes The Quiet Earth unforgettable is its bold, cerebral storytelling. It doesn't rely on flashy effects or explosions. Instead, it immerses viewers in a hauntingly empty world, paired with a mesmerizing synth-driven score that perfectly captures the isolation of Zach's journey. By the time the film's enigmatic finale hits, you're left questioning the very nature of reality and the human condition itself. Despite critical acclaim in its homeland, this 1985 gem slipped under the radar for most international audiences. But for fans of thought-provoking, eerie sci-fi, The Quiet Earth is a must-watch. Its influence can even be traced to later global hits like I Am Legend and The Last Man on Earth. If you thought you knew 80s sci-fi, think again. The Quiet Earth is proof that some of the decade's most brilliant films were quietly waiting for viewers brave enough to seek them out. Brazil, 1985. Imagine a world where bureaucracy rules everything, and your life is dictated by endless forms, cold offices, and oppressive surveillance. That's the nightmarish vision of Terry Gilliam's Brazil, a darkly comic, dystopian sci-fi masterpiece that feels both absurd and terrifyingly real. Released in 1985, this film blends Orwellian themes with Gilliam's signature surrealist style, creating a universe where dreams are a dangerous escape and reality is a suffocating maze. The story follows Sam Lowry, a low-level government worker who becomes entangled in a web of mistaken identity, oppressive authority, and love. Sam dreams of escaping his drab existence, longing for a mysterious woman who seems to exist only in his imagination. But in a society obsessed with paperwork and control, even the smallest act of rebellion can have catastrophic consequences. What makes Brazil unforgettable is its bold visual style. Gilliam transforms a world of gray, industrial monotony into a living, breathing nightmare, punctuated with surreal flights of fancy, think jetpacks, oversized ducks, and endless hallways. The film's satirical commentary on corporate greed, authoritarian control, and the absurdity of modern life resonates even today, making it a timeless cult classic. Despite its complex narrative and initially polarizing reception, Brazil has become a must-watch for any sci-fi aficionado. It's not just a movie, it's a cautionary, visually stunning, and darkly hilarious experience that reminds us of the thin line between dreams and reality. Why you should rewatch it: every frame of Brazil is packed with detail, symbolism, and bizarre inventions that reward multiple viewings. For fans of dystopian sci-fi like Blade Runner or 1984, this is a hidden gem that blends satire, romance, and chaos like no other. 14. They Live, 1988. The subversive sci-fi that predicted our world. Released in 1988, They Live is John Carpenter's satirical sci-fi action film that went beyond the usual alien invasion trope. On the surface, it's about a drifter named John Nada, played by Roddy Piper, who discovers a pair of mysterious sunglasses that reveal the world's shocking truth. The wealthy elite are actually aliens controlling humanity through subliminal messages. Signs, advertisements, and even the media scream commands like obey, consume, and conform, messages invisible to the average person. What makes They Live unforgettable is its sharp critique of consumerism and social control, making it feel incredibly relevant even decades later. The film blends science fiction, horror, and pure 80s action into a cult classic, especially the legendary fight scene between John Nada and his friend Frank, an epic 6-minute brawl that has gone down in cinematic history for its raw intensity and practical effects. While it was initially overlooked by mainstream audiences, the film has since become a cultural touchstone, influencing countless references in pop culture, from music videos to comic books. Its mix of social commentary, thrilling sci-fi, and unforgettable one-liners like, "I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass," and "I'm all out of bubblegum," ensures that They Live isn't just a forgotten 80s movie, it's a timeless cult masterpiece. For fans of dystopian thrillers and subversive sci-fi, this film is a must-watch hidden gem that proves the 1980s weren't just about neon lights and synthesizers, they also warned us about the world we live in today. 15. The Last Starfighter, 1984. Imagine a world where your life changes with just a high score. That's exactly what happens to Alex Rogan, a small-town teenager stuck in a dead-end life, who discovers that the video game he's been dominating isn't just a game. It's a real recruitment tool for an interstellar defense force. The Last Starfighter was a revolutionary film for its time. Long before CGI became commonplace, This movie used groundbreaking computer-generated imagery to create dazzling space battles that still feel magical today. Alex is thrust from his ordinary world into a galactic war, facing ruthless alien enemies while learning what it truly means to be a hero. But what makes this film unforgettable, and sadly overlooked, is its combination of 80s teen charm, epic sci-fi adventure, and cutting-edge visuals. It wasn't just a movie, it was a dream for anyone who ever played video games and imagined they could be part of a bigger universe. Even decades later, The Last Starfighter continues to inspire a new generation of gamers, sci-fi fans, and dreamers who wish their joystick skills could save the galaxy. This isn't just nostalgia, it's a timeless adventure that proves that sometimes, the hero of the story could be you. Fun fact, the film inspired many future sci-fi classics, proving that video games and movies could collide in ways audiences never expected. If you loved space battles, heart-pounding adventure, and a story where a normal teen becomes an intergalactic hero, this hidden 80s gem deserves a spot on your watch list. That wraps up our countdown of 15 greatest 80s sci-fi movies you forgot existed. Which one brought back your fondest memories? Or which hidden gem are you adding to your watch list right now? If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join the Globewise Entertainment family for more epic movie countdowns, hidden classics, and Hollywood secrets. Drop a comment below and tell us which 80s sci-fi movie is your favorite. We love hearing from you. And don't forget to like, share, and turn on notifications so you never miss a journey back to cinema's golden eras. Stay cinematic, stay inspired, and we'll see you in the next Globewise Entertainment adventure.